the Jazz hosting the Clippers. Coverage beginning with Stephen A's pregame SportsCenter, 7 o'clock Eastern on ESPN and the app. And guys, so we have that Bucks-Celtics matchup on ESPN tonight. One to watch, Jason Tatum, already a nominee for Eastern Conference Player of the Week last week. He's averaging 20 points a game, 9 rebounds a game. And look, Richard, we had high expectations for him last season. Obviously, nothing went as expected for the Celtics last year. So what about this year? Is Jason ready to take that lead?
I think he will continue to make leaps, not only this year, but in the years coming. Like, he's, 23 years old? He's going to be a better player at 25. He's going to be a better player at 27. I know we in the media and sometimes fans can get impatient, but this can be a gradual process. Well, each year he gets better, adds something new to his game. I think we're so far away from seeing the best Jason Tatum, but this is a great step in the right direction, but they still have to do it over 82 because this team is coming off long-term success.
His skill set is unbelievable. And I imagine it will keep him being a successful player no matter where he is for the rest of his career. It's just a level of success. What do we expect? Right. He started that first playoff run with the Celtics, dynamite. That 20-point scoring streak got him to the Eastern Conference Finals, got him within a quarter of the NBA Finals. And so he was anointed to be the next coming. Mm-hmm. But maybe 20-9 type of player, if that's his ceiling, that's okay. Right. I mean, he's in his third year. We don't know it's his ceiling, but that's already a very promising development. The thing is now, the excuses are gone. You can't say that Kyrie Irving is stunting my development. You can't say that we have the weighted expectations of being a 65-win team that they were last year. It's just go out and ball and make incremental progress in your game. And he seems to have the dedication to the game to do that.
Now, the kind of player he would like to be when you're talking about what his potential is Kobe Bryant. That's his guy, right? I don't think anyone is the next Kobe Bryant, but, he could definitely be still star. Boston fans would love him to be.
He's 21. He's 21.
You aged him 2 years?
I aged him 2 years. That's how good he is. I thought he was older.
He's mature.
He's
a
very good.
Son we get to see at games sometimes.
That's right.
So, there you go.
Deuce.
Here we go again. Clippers announcing that Kawhi Leonard will sit tonight's game against the Jazz for load management. This seems counter to NBA rules on, not resting players for nationally televised games, not resting players on the road. Those rules that were put in place about a year and a half ago, they called that Adam Silver is allowed to fine teams up to $100,000. So I did call the league office and sort of said, hey, you guys looking into this at all? And the league office told me the Clippers actually got this approved in advance and that they are, quote, currently in compliance with the policy. Dave, is it too early to load manage Kawhi? The official designation says load management /knee, which is interesting to me. I wonder if it is rest for a specific medical issue. But again, it's load management. That's what they're calling it.
We can't say it's too early because the evidence was last season the Toronto Raptors rested Kawhi for 22 games and won a championship. And so the Clippers can just say, all right, let's take that, apply it to our situation. Why would we not rest him? And we're trying to play for June, obviously. They're not trying to rush Paul George back, and they're not trying to overwork Kawhi Leonard in November. And so it's not fun for us as the fan, as the viewer, to watch and tune in and see the Clippers without them, as much as we love Montrezl Harrell and Lou Williams and all those pieces, because Kawhi's that special. But I'd rather see him be at his best in a playoff game where all the stakes matter versus risk something at this stage of the season.
It's a back-to-back for the Clippers, and Doc Rivers came out and said he should play tomorrow night against San Antonio, which is not a nationally televised game. Although, again, against San Antonio, they would probably be shouting if he didn't play that one instead. So.
Well, you brought up a good point. You said you talked to the league and you asked them and they said they're in compliance. When the league schedule comes out and they're saying, okay, listen, if he's healthy, these are the games that we might want to rest him, right? So you contact the league and say, hey, these are the games that we might want to rest a guy that's coming off a knee surgery. These are it. If you still choose to put them on national television, we've let you know. And you made a good point where.
Does it work in that order?
What do you mean?
The schedule comes out in August.
Well, look, I'm just saying if when the NBA schedule comes out and then, whatever the national television schedule comes out, I'm new to this, so just bear with me, right?
You work for this network.
Yeah, but I'm brand new. I'm like the Jason Tatum of this, right? Bear with me. I got talent. I'm trying to get better.
He has hair, though.
A lot more hair. Mm-hmm. But no, I just more think that, if you're letting the NBA know, what they were getting upset about is when guys were showing up and they were like, oh, we're going to send these guys home, right? The NBA was finding out day of or the day before that these guys weren't going to be on national television. I think that if you're letting the NBA know ahead of time, I think that's a much easier process. And like you said, they want to play till June. And a guy just finished playing in June, so resting him a little early, I think that's probably the best bet.
And you make such a great point about the Spurs game. If he set that one out, it would be so much backlash for it. He's trying to avoid Greg Popovich. So that's on the schedule makers then. Don't schedule this as a back-to-back. Seriously, if both those games matter, you have to recognize that there's potential for him to pick and choose.
I am interested to watch this. I've been asking Adam Silver about this really since the draft lottery, the couple times we've had him on this show, about, hey, are we just going to see this more? And I think that all your points are exactly valid. This is what they need to do to play till June. This is what they did, and they talked to the league about it, and obviously they had good enough reasons. Well, if that's the case, you have a schedule set up where one of your best players and maybe a couple others following suit will say, we just shouldn't play all these games. What does that tell your national TV partners? What does that tell the fans who buy tickets? And I think that that is leading to these serious discussions. We heard for the first time in the last few months that the competition committee is actually now looking at specific proposals for a shortened schedule. We're still a ways away from that. It hasn't happened yet, but it is being discussed in a way it has never been, at a higher level it has never been discussed before.
I agree, right? And I think, I don't like the idea of shortening schedule, and we don't have to get into that. But I think for players, you know what your body feels like. And there's something to be said about being able to play that 82, that guys have played for 50, 60, like guys have done it the entire NBA. You should be able to do it. And they already made changes. There's less back-to-backs. Mm-hmm. There's an easier travel schedule.
4 and 5s.
There's less training camp. They have dialed back so much that now you're like, we're just going to only have them play 70 games. I don't think that's the answer. We can't keep going back and giving more and more and more. It's like, hey, let's just play a 25-game schedule, have a single elimination championship, and call it a day. I think you're getting away from what being a professional means.
I mean, but you might not get to decide that. If they're resting him games.
Oh, they could care less what I think. They could care less what I think.
But that's the thing, is that you can legislate it and say, hey, it's got to be 82 and we're standing firm. And if you give a little here, it's just going to keep going, slippery slope, all of that stuff. But if the teams are finding ways and elite players are finding ways, I'm watching an example of a guy who rested for a certain percentage of games and then won Finals MVP and won a title doing it. You can make the rules one way, but as we see, they got permission to do this, and they said, hey, it's within the structure.
Well, you've also had examples of guys playing 82 and winning championships and winning MVP. So we can't just look at this because we're coming off this year. He was coming off a legitimate knee injury. We saw him struggle through the postseason. His knee was bothering him. We can't compare that to a completely healthy guy that just wants a day off. That's the part that I think is apples and oranges, and we need to evaluate that.
We'll see what happens, right? Because I agree with you. Look, he had a little limp when he was getting off the airplane for his free agency meetings, right? So this is totally legit, and it's legit clearly in the way they're managing it because they've run it through the league, and the league had such a concern about this, they instituted a $100,000 fine, and they're like, no, this one's actually okay. I am just interested in the copycat nature of the way the NBA works and whether we're going to see more of it.
We're also saying we want teams to be honest about their player injuries, which that doesn't happen. Sorry, folks. So I'm not so sure if we're going to get that information coming out anytime soon.
Up next, we're going to preview the Battle of the Big Men. Tonight, Karl Anthony Towns faces off against Joel Embiid. Kat is downplaying the matchup, and Joel Embiid has told me he's not going to trash talk anymore, and Karl Anthony Towns is one of his favorite former targets. So this is going to be interesting. First, though, it's time for our second distant replay of the day. This one is this date in 2001. Take a look. A bit of a rocky start with Utah because he shot 0 for 7 on Monday in Phoenix, shooting 20% from the field through 4 games. That is the worst in the league amongst players with multiple starts. The Jazz host the Clippers tonight, but no Kawhi Leonard. So, Richard, where are you on Conley's start? Are you concerned? Do you think tonight he can get going past a defense that's still going to be tough without Kawhi?
Well, yeah, I think Patrick Beverley is a problem, but I think he'll be fine. He's in a new place for the first time, and he's trying to fit in. He's not the best player. He's probably the 3rd best player, so it's going to take some time.
He's missing shots he can make, though. He's proven that over and over and over again in his career. I'm not concerned at all. Is he going to shoot 50% for the season? Maybe not, but I'm not concerned he's going to get much better.
To me, like James Harden, it's small sample size theater. Willie Cauley-Stein making his Warriors debut tonight. Golden State, major issues with their front court depth. They're giving up an average of 128 points a game, 2nd worst in the league. So how much of an impact do you guys think that a healthy Cauley-Stein could have?
Well, if we've gotten to the point where we're worrying or wondering about Willie Cauley-Stein saving the Warriors, then wow, how far have we fallen with that team? But if he just sets some hard screens, protects the rim, finishes at the rim, gets some rebounds, then he's done his job, and all they need is a bunch of guys giving some incremental help alongside Steph Curry.
It's going to help a lot. Steph in a pick and roll with him rolling, Draymond hitting him, creating space for some of their shooters. It'll help a lot.
Yeah, look, I mean, you've got lots of holes.
By a lot,
I mean, you can hold.
By a lot, I mean any amount of help.
There you go. Sure.
Yeah.
There you go. Battle of the undefeateds tonight. The 3-0 Timberwolves at the 3-0 Sixers. This game, of course, features a matchup of all-star big men Joel Embiid and Karl Anthony Towns. Cat has been on fire at the start of this season. I cannot stress enough. He leads all big men in scoring, 32 a game. He wasn't so into the hype, though, when asked about Joel.
Everybody else is like, oh, Karl and Joel. And I know you're scouting and looking at film, but how much are you paying any attention really to the individual matchup?
Not at all. I mean, it's a game about trying to find a team to win. I mean, I know everyone wants to hype it up. I mean, that's what sells papers, but I ain't in the business of making out money. I'm in the business of getting W's.
I am personally excited that Karl Anthony Towns thinks anything
sells papers. I was like,
anymore.
nothing sells newspaper.
Awesome.
Good, yeah.
Someone who started in newspapers. I love hearing that. But is it smart, Richard, for Cat to downplay this matchup?
That's what it talks about being a professional. He's now a leader. He is a professional. He is putting the team above himself. He's not worried about an individual matchup. Like, yes, if he gets murdered, if he gets killed in that matchup, it's not going to help. But he's just saying, like, this is about my team. I want to do whatever it takes for my team. I'm not going to go out there and try and outscore him or try and outduel him at the cost of the team. And I think that's a step towards being a leader. That gives me a little bit of hope for the Timberwolves.
He also won't be able to out-trash talk him. He won't be able to out-antic him. Those are some of the best things that Joel Embiid is in the league at doing those things. And also, this gets back to Sun Tzu, Art of War, knowing your opponent.
Right.
Joel Embiid told Zach Lowe on a podcast this summer that the reason why he doesn't mess with Jokic is that he just goes out and does his job. Well, Cat, go out and do your job, and Joel Embiid will leave you alone.
Mm-hmm.
Well, we'll see. we'll see. I don't know. I mean, I've heard a lot from Joel about how he is going to be no trash talker. He's going to just, we'll see. Karl Anthony Towns has been a tantalizing target for him in the past. But, as I said, Cat is he's playing so well right now. Our League Pass game of the night, Blazers at Thunder. This is the end of a 4-game road trip for Portland at OKC in a game that's a pick'em, according to Vegas. We're just 4 games into the season. But Dame and CJ both averaging career highs in scoring. So is this the year CJ McCollum becomes an all-star, Dave McMenamin?
I say no. I don't think they're going to win enough games to be in consideration for 2 All-Stars. Dame's the better player.
I hope it is, because CJ to me is one of the best 2 guards, and he's not done it 1 year, not done it 2 years. He's done it multiple years in his career. I think they've tried to keep Dame out of the All-Star game multiple times when he was the 6th or 7th.
No one's trying to keep anyone
They have
out
tried
of the
to keep Dame out of the.
All-Star
How do you not vote for a guy that has been into the playoffs every single year, Ray? Not trying, but just
position in the West. I think he's an All-Star. I have voted for him for All-Star. I'm just saying
I can't
that
vote.
Steph, Harden,
You can't
Russ.
vote.
There's
You
been
can't now.
CJ, I'm rooting for you, big fella.
All-Stars.